Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I use my CNC to help me make these bookshelves. So stay tuned and check it out. Alright, to start off, I just cut down a piece of 1/2" MDF and then brad nailed that to the CNC table. I'm going to be using an 1/8" downcut bit, so I could just chuck that up in the router and then reattach to the dust boot. And on a side note, this tool holder is my first product, so if you're interested in one of these, check the links down below. Then I could use a long ruler to find the center of this material and put the bit right in place. So oftentimes I don't use the touch probe, I just use a piece of paper to get really close, and honestly that's good enough for this project. Then I could hit play on the CNC and let it do its thing. And while these were being cut out on the CNC, I could start cutting out the other pieces that I needed at the table saw. And for these pieces, they're just cut out a 1/4" MDF, and I'm just adjusting the fence as needed. If you guys are interested in making one of these bookshelves for yourself, I'll have a link to the plans down below, so check those out. And this is one of the things I love most about having a CNC machine. It can be cutting out the intricate and repeatable pieces in the background, while I'm over at the table saw cutting out the more simple pieces. And right about this time, the CNC machine was just finishing up on the last piece. Then I used a pry bar to pry the piece off the work surface, and then I could use my multi-tool to cut the tabs and free all the pieces. With the pieces free, I used a chisel to square up all the inside corners like this, so that the mating piece would fit in there really nicely. Alright, so to assemble this whole thing, I'm just going to use some wood glue, some CA glue and activator. The CA glue and activator is just going to bond it immediately to hold those pieces together, and then the wood glue is going to bond it together permanently for the long haul. And then I think I'm going to throw in a couple of small brad nails. I don't think it's completely necessary, but I have them, so I'm going to add them. So I'm just going to start with this front cross member here, and we'll just lay it down on its face like that. The key to remember is that these, I guess, pockets or channels are going to be facing each other on the inside. So like that. So just adding a little wood glue and a little bit of CA glue. Right, and then just wipe off any extra glue. Make sure it's flush on the outside. Next, while this is still kind of face down, I'm gonna add this back panel right here. So line that up, throw some glue in it, and then I think on this, I will shoot some brad nails in from the side. Again, try to get it pretty flush, but you can always sand it down later. I'm just gonna add a couple drops of CA glue here. It'll act kind of like a weld. I left these side panels a little bit proud of this back panel because I knew I wanted to come back and sand that down flush. You can see that on this bottom piece, I didn't cut this notch in yet because I wanted to assemble everything else first, and then I can make any necessary adjustments to this bottom piece. So now that everything else is assembled, I can stick this bottom piece in there, and then I can mark out where this notch is gonna be. And I can connect those two lines like that. Obviously I'll do it again with a straight edge, but you get the idea, and then that's gonna be the notch. So I'll cut that out with the bandsaw, do the same thing on the other side, and then this piece should be able to just stick right in the bottom there, and we'll glue it and brad nail it in place as well. And with the notch cut out, you can just slide in there nice like that. And this side, got it pretty tight. So it's a good fit, and this is a little bit proud, but I can sand that down. So now let's just add some glue and maybe a couple brad nails. And actually, I really debated on whether or not I should make this video just because it seemed kind of simple. But obviously I did go ahead and make this video, and I think the reason for that is because I really wanted to showcase that a CNC can actually be almost like a second set of hands in the shop. It can make some of the more intricate or repeatable parts while you're over at the table saw making some of the more simple parts. And when you're both done, you can assemble those pieces together and make something awesome. So yeah, is this the craziest thing I've ever made with the CNC? Absolutely not. But hopefully this kind of sparks some ideas for you if you have a CNC in your shop, where maybe it can help you make a specific piece for the project you're working on while you're making some other piece for that same project. And then to seal up the MDF, I'm going to use some of the sanding sealer, probably put 2 coats on there, sand it down a little bit, and then I can spray these. This stuff really seals up these edges right here, and in the end it's going to give you a really smooth finish. Then to fill in any gaps, I just used some of this wood filler, smeared it on with my finger, let everything dry, and then sanded it flush. Finally, I could hit it with some of the satin white spray paint, and I think I did about 3 coats here, and I sanded really lightly in between each coat just to get a super smooth finish. Then to hang these on the wall, first I could find a stud that was located right next to the outlet down below, and then I used my laser level to kind of strike that line vertically on the wall, and then I could attach the first side of this bookshelf with 1 screw. Then I measured over 16 inches where a supposed neck stud would be, and I did the same thing. I used this little dust catcher that I printed with my 3D printer to catch all the dust, and I realized when I was pre-drilling this that I didn't hit a stud, so then I used one of these drywall anchors, and then I could attach the screw into that drywall anchor. So for the second shelf, I actually moved the laser level so that it was on the edge of the first shelf, and then I could line up the second shelf on that and make a little mark on the bottom right corner. Then I could take my laser level and move it back onto the screw of the first shelf, and then I could take my second shelf, line it up on that mark that I just made, and then I could pre-drill a hole on the laser level through the second shelf and attach that first screw. Man, that was a lot, but I hope the video and my explanation kind of made it a little bit more clear of what I was doing. And for the second screw on the second shelf, I just kind of randomly picked a spot and I happened to hit a stud. So I guess I got pretty lucky on the second one. And with that, the shelves were in place, so all we had to do is load it with some books. Our little guy really loves story time, and this is just a great addition to his bedroom where we can display some of his favorite books. If you guys enjoyed this video, it'd be awesome if you could hit that like button down below. That just lets YouTube know that this was a decent video and maybe it should pass it on to some other people to watch. And while you're down there, if you haven't already, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. That way you're notified every time I release a new video. And until next time, thanks for watching.